That's the voice of Jason Benetti. Does an outstanding job play-by-play for various places, including ESPN, most notably for the Chicago White Sox since 2016. Now going to the Detroit Tigers. Big free agent signing. You see how excited he is? We used that shot of him right there. Let's bring in the real guy right here, Jason Benetti. Jason, it's Brian Kenny. Congratulations to you. Love your work. Congratulations.
Thank you. And for the next award show, please award the worst Photoshop in history to that picture.
I just say you look excited to be here. This is like a big free agent signing. What is it like now, again, to go from one club to another, going from the White Sox, you're there a few years, and going to the Tigers?
Yeah, I feel like Freddie Freeman, Brian. I know how hard that was for Freddie Freeman to leave someplace that felt like home, and it's the same for me. But the Tigers and everything they have been and done and felt, and their entire sensibility is something that was just too much for me to say no to. They are, and I'm watching myself on the left side of the screen, they are phenomenally creative people. They have an up-and-coming organization, and, you know, it feels a little bit like when a band breaks up, right? Like you had this wonderful run and people know the hits. And I am so grateful for the people in Chicago who care so much about everything Stoney and I did there together and our entire crew. But I feel amazing to know that what the Tigers want is an announcer, is what I see myself as well, Brian.
I'm glad that you're valued that way. You're a very good play-by-play guy. You have you say a lot of smart things during games, which is difficult to call a game and, you know, see things and understand things. I like that the Tigers value that and went after you and did that. How do you balance that? Because again, Jason, you have you got to call balls and strikes. You're faithful to that, but you do weave interesting things analytically and otherwise into the game. How do you use both sides of your brain?
Yeah, first of all, my parents used to say, you stop saying smart things, right? But they meant something else when they said that. So, you know, shows them, no, they're wonderful people. But what I will say is, that's the fun of baseball, is that the whole spectrum, like the whole thing, the whole range is why we go to games, right? Some baseball fans really like sitting there enjoying the grass and eating cotton candy. And some baseball fans like having their nose in their scorebook and having every stat imaginable. And I think it's important to make sure that everybody knows that they're valued as a viewer, right? Like you and I both have a love for analytics, and the StatCast show we did at ESPN with Mike Petriello and Eduardo Perez and our producer Andy Jacobson and everybody, like that show meant so much to me because we worked so hard to make sure that everything on the screen was relevant to that moment. And that's how I feel about doing a game, is that sometimes the thing that's most relevant to that moment, it's 8-1 in the sixth, is the person who just accidentally spilled ketchup all over themselves. Mm-hmm. That's the relevant thing to that moment. But you have to honor as well all the people that work so hard to be on a baseball diamond after like 10 years in the minors. Those moments matter to them too. So yeah, it is a balance, but I just think the way I think about it is, you have to make sure every viewer, every personality type who's going to watch a baseball game has what they want.
You know, Jason, yeah, you did a great job on that with Mike Petriello, Eduardo Perez on ESPN. We called a bunch of StatCast games here on MLB Network as well. And I'm always trying to remind, like, we're calling a ball game. We're not doing, stats here. But there is a certain language. How much do you think, especially the emerging generation, being on the internet all the time, being on social media and seeing and just growing up this way, understands the language that you try to bring to them?
Yeah, they do. I mean, they do, and they want to have it. And then there are other people who want to hear about the stories of the players, right? They want to know the backstories of Riley Green and whoever else. So, when we first did the StatCast show, I said, Phil Orleans from ESPN, coordinating producer, does a great job. I said to Phil, like, there's time to do stories, right? And he's like, no, this is StatCast centric. But people have to know stories in baseball. Like, there has to be room for that. So yeah, I think it's really important to make sure we speak that language. But also, when you start to sound like you're only speaking that language, it can be a turnoff to some people. The way I would say it is, like, I'm just not going to give you a stat that I'm saying just because, right? Like when I first did radio, it was batting average, home runs, RBIs, but like that's not the most important stat to a great defensive player. So I'm not going to talk about that as much. I'm going to tell you why they're great. And I need to know the numbers more than I need to say them, I think. Like I need to know the backbone of somebody's profile more than I have to tell you all the numbers that back that up necessarily.
Right. No, I get it. I love your broadcasts. I think the media is behind the fans in a lot of ways. That's my last question. Do you feel that sometimes that because again, bunting has come up. Brian Cashman had to renounce analytics publicly. Like these things still come up because like you're getting a game plan at 2:00. What are you doing? You got to watch the games. Go from the gut. Do you sense that too?
I think that it's sometimes it's really much ado about nothing, and then sometimes it's much ado about everything. I think some people have a belief of what baseball should look like. And if that's not what baseball is, then that's a problem for them. That said, I have worked with people who don't love analytics, and it's my job to find what they do love and convey that to the public too. Because like the one person who's talking to you or writing and you're reading their stuff, that person, they care about something having to do with baseball. They just don't get it in the way that you get analytics or I see analytics or whatever it might be. That's okay. They're still a human being, but you just take another path.
Yeah, I know I've learned that, especially with the older guys. Just don't say analytics. Don't say sabermetrics. Just talk baseball, and suddenly they're right there. But Jason, great job. Congratulations to you. We look forward to you calling Tigers games this coming year.